Hello guys, my name is Rahul and today we are going to study about Anglo-Saxon period or the Old English period. Now Anglo-Saxon period started from 410 AD and went until 1066 AD. These people, Anglo-Saxons, came from Germany and stayed here for almost 600 years. Now, before these people came here, Anglo-Saxons, native Britons stayed here. Now, Britons were the tribe of Britain, and Britain was only known as Britain because Britons, which is the native tribe of Britain, stayed here before Anglo-Saxon people came here. Now, Anglo-Saxon people were mainly of three tribes: Angles, Saxons, and Jutes. England was named after the tribe Angles, and this was because Angles were a very large group of people as compared to Saxons and Jutes. So, this is one thing which is very important you should remember, that England was named after a tribe Angles, which was a tribe of Anglo-Saxon people and who came from Germany. One important thing to note here is that Anglo-Saxon people were pagans, which means that they did not believe in any god. But the arrival of Saint Augustine in 597 is important for us because he started preaching Christianity into England, and in later works of Anglo-Saxon period we can see that many poems and prose are written on Christian preaching, Bible stories, etc. So you should remember that Saint Augustine started preaching of Christianity into England, and pagans were and Anglo-Saxon people were pagans. Now let us talk about the literary characteristics of Anglo-Saxon period. Now this is much more important than what we just studied about the history of Anglo-Saxon period. Old English language mainly comprises of two languages. First, Germanic tribal language, and second is native Brittonic language. Germanic tribal language was the language of Anglo-Saxon, and Anglo-Saxon people mostly wrote heroic poetry in this language, while the native Brittonic language was the language of the native people of Britain, which I have already told you a few seconds ago. Now, mostly the teaching of poems and prose took place orally because it is said that poems and prose were performed orally by poets during this period, and it is also important to note that from this period onward, poets and writers were considered as one of the most valued and important members of the society. Now, poetry was mainly of two types. First, religious poetry, or you can also say Christian poetry, because poetry was mainly written on Christian teachings and Bible stories. And second is Germanic heroic poetries. Now, this was the poetry about war heroes of Germany, which was mainly written by Anglo-Saxon people because they came from Germany. Alliteration, compound words, strong stresses were some of the main characteristics of poems of this period. Major works and authors of Anglo-Saxon period. Now let us study about some of the major works and authors of Anglo-Saxon period. During this period, not much literary work was found, mainly because of two reasons. First, because there was no printing press, and secondly, during this period, England was constantly attacked by many invaders, and hence no major literary work would have been written. Let us study about some of the major works of this period now. First, Beowulf. Beowulf is one of the most famous poem of this period, which is written in about 300 lines. Now, you don't need to study anything else except the names of these five works which are mentioned. But Beowulf is a very interesting and important work and of this period, and hence we'll be studying this work tomorrow. Other than that, you just need to remember the names of the poems which are mentioned below. First is Beowulf, second is Ecclesiastical History of English Nation, third is The Wanderer, fourth is The Seafarer, fifth is Message, Christ and Satan, etc. Some of the major author of this period are Caedmon. Now, Caedmon is one of the most important poet of this period, and he is also known as the father of Old English poetry. And you can say that he is the first known English poet, and hence he become important poet of this period, which is Anglo-Saxon period. And then there is Cynewulf, Bede, Alfred the Great, etc. Alfred the Great was the king of that period, but he also worked for the literary writings during that period and helped the writers in writing poems and prose, etc. So, guys, this was all about Anglo-Saxon period, and tomorrow we'll study Beowulf, which is a very interesting poem of this period, Anglo-Saxon period. If you like my work and if you are a student of English literature, or you love literature, please subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for tomorrow's lecture. Thank you, guys.